Hello, 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 everyone. Oh my goodness. I am so excited to have you here today. I have been grounding myself all morning. I have a very important message to share with you today. And some of you guys know why I am super, super, super excited. Queens of Money has officially gone viral. It has gone insane. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, stay tuned because you are about to hear it from me. So I have been noticing as a projector, as a 4/6 human design projector, this thing that kept coming into my field over and over and over again. And I have this rule. I have this rule that if something keeps coming up in my paid containers, like my group coaching in Kainat, in my private coaching, then that means that I'm tapping into a collective energy and I must bring this to the public. I must bring this to the collective. And what I started noticing was something quite interesting. I started noticing that a lot of my clients, my students, and even other people just on YouTube or Instagram, I noticed this really interesting thing with women that they were using the words abundance and prosperity and even wealth, but not saying money, like dancing around the word money. And at first I'm thinking, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it. So when I started coaching my clients around this, like, what do you mean by prosperity? Like, what does abundance look like for you? I realized that what they were saying was they wanted money. They wanted to manifest money. They wanted to have money. They wanted to hold money. But they didn't want to look like they wanted money. They didn't want to look like they were talking about money. And I started seeing this as a really big pattern that women that are undercharging, women that are under earning, are experiencing this like collective female trauma response with the frequency and even the word money. And don't get me wrong, like this isn't about like the somatics of it, right? Like many people use very many words, but it's quite interesting because words actually invoke this like mental and like subconscious imagery for us. And the truth is that words like abundance and prosperity and wealth, there's nothing wrong with these words. I use these words all the time. But we know that the words abundance, wealth, prosperity invoke like a very different subconscious response than the word money, right? Abundance is a state. It's how you feel. It's a frequency inside of you. Prosperity is a state. It's a frequency inside of you. Money is money. Money is a physical element. Like you either have it or you don't. And we like to like play around with it, like turning money into energy or turning money into a state. But I think in some ways, all of these things are actually keeping women stuck. When I use the word prosperity, I'm including money in it because I actually also don't have an issue using the word money. I don't have a problem with money. I don't have a problem with accepting money, owning money, loving money, making money, creating money, attracting money, manifesting money, having money, holding money, compounding money. There's no issue. There's no distortions in my field around that. So when I say abundance and prosperity, I mean money included in that and then more things. But I noticed that that's not true for everyone. In fact, since I started bringing this up on my other channel, my money channel, the Million Dollar Babes channel, so many of you guys have responded saying, oh my God, I realized that I've been like spiritually bypassing money by using words abundance and prosperity. And that's being reflected. It's being reflected because when you mean money, but you say prosperity, what signal are you actually sending out? What are you actually manifesting? You're not being very clear. There's a lot of duplicity in that. Now, if I had a client that was so focused in on money and had a lot of money, but they weren't enjoying their life, They weren't invoking the state of abundance. They weren't invoking the state of more than enough and pleasure. Then I would say, okay, for you, we're going to stop talking about money and we're going to talk about abundance and prosperity. But most people can't just skip over that, because doing the inner work of owning our guilt and shame and conditioning and programming and the limiting beliefs around money actually is what unlocks the state of abundance and the state of prosperity. So I think it's really important, especially as women, because women's inner work is different than men's inner work. Women are new to money. I had my class in the 50-50 to Provided For course today, and we were talking about how we have a really twisted relationship even with being provided for, because typically it was in the stage one where women were in the one down position when we were being provided for. So even though we have ancient DNA coding for this, we have so much coding for it and desire for it, we also have this icky energy around it. It feels like there's a price to pay. It feels like I don't want to be a burden. It feels like loss of independence. And so for us as women, we must go through the portal of embracing money. We can't just skip to abundance and prosperity, especially if we're afraid to use the word money. Like there's like something in us that doesn't want to be perceived a certain way. We see money as a burden. We see money as fear. We see it as like, oh, if I have money, then I will have to X, Y, Z. Money doesn't give you a loss of boundaries. It actually gives you more options. It's actually quite the other way around. Abundance sounds more spiritual and money sounds more physical. And see, this is just an example of how they resonate differently for everyone. So for me, both money and abundance are spiritual, but abundance is an inside state, and money is something physical that I have in my bank account, in my purse, in my wallet, on my nightstand, in my investments, in my property. Money just is a physical thing that I get to have. But if I was to skip that step and only talk about the state of abundance inside of me, that would feel good. But if I haven't done inner work on money, I would be a spiritual person with no money. I would be telling stories around then how it's bad to have money, and just like feel it or like become it. Well, yeah, great. But like, did that help you actually get it? Not if you're spiritually bypassing. And so especially because women have this like history where we had to manifest money through someone else, through our father, through our brother, through our husband, through our son. And now just in the last 3 or 4 generations, we have more and more and more access to it. We can't seem to trust ourselves with it. We like outsource our power with it. We want to say like, fine, even if I'm making it, I'm gonna turn it into a burden, or there's a price to pay, or someone else is gonna manage it for me. There's this like wobbly energy. And even with women, like I have clients that make 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. There's still some level of still be feeling wobbly around it, or some price to pay, right? And that's good. That's where we're showing, oh, okay, I still have a little bit of energy to clean up in this area, or I have a little bit of something to fix here. Because no matter how it's showing up for you, it's revealing something. It's feedback for you to learn, okay, this is the part where I have to do inner work. So really what I'm saying is, it's not just the words that we use, it's the energy and the intention behind them. So for someone who's totally okay with making money, earning money, they're not undercharging, they're not under earning, they like done their inner work around money. If they use words like prosperity and abundance, they've already taken the money bit into account. But for someone that's like so scared of charging, so afraid of being called whatever, right? Maybe they have a religious trauma, whatever it is, and they're like skipping over money and talking about abundance, and they hire me as a coach to help them make more money in their business. I'm gonna be like, why are we talking about abundance when actually you just want to make money? Let's talk about money. Let's talk about like monetizing your sacred work and charging your worth. Abundance, like, yeah, feel into that before you go to sleep, but like, let's talk about money. And that's when I started noticing these really interesting ways that women jump over the money word because there's something stuck in their energy with fully owning it. BB says, since your videos on masculine inner authority, I've completely shifted my relationship with money. Since 2 months, I stopped using my credit card and I can hold them. Can't wait to multiply now. Amazing, BB, congratulations. That is huge. That is huge. And so what I've decided to do with this energy of this realization when I shared this video is I've launched a 3-day experience. I was actually discussing this with the Kaina students, and I was thinking, okay, is this going to be like a $10,000 mastermind? And then I was like, no, I want this to be something a little bit more accessible. Same thing I would put in the $10,000 mastermind, money mastermind, but like more accessible. Then I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll do it on YouTube. And then I was thinking, well, I do YouTube all the time, and a lot of people take that for granted because it is free and because it's similar to what I'm already doing. And then yesterday morning, I woke up and I knew the answer. So I've launched this 3-day experience called Queens of Money. And I have a cover charge of $44. And I launched it. I like emailed out, I think it was like 3 p.m. yesterday. And within the next few hours, it went viral. I was not expecting that to happen. Like I knew it was an important conversation. I knew that it was something that the collective was wanting. Like I'm a projector. Like I said, I can intuit that. However, the response, no way on earth I could have anticipated it. Like I've had things go viral before. Manifesting with God was my first course that went viral on that scale. Like we were freaking out. We didn't even know how to handle it. And then after that, I'm seeing 444. I keep being stalked by angel numbers right now at the moment and sunflowers. And then the next one was the Savage Feminine, which you guys know the whole sunflower thing happened all over the world. That course went viral. But let me tell you, how Queens of Money has gone viral is a whole different level. Like it starts this Friday and we're already like, how the hell are we going to handle thousands of people on Zoom? Like we have to upgrade our Zoom package. Like I'm like working through it, expanding my container. But I'm telling you this because this is how hungry the collective feminine, how like ready we are to transmute these money wounds once and for all. And it's not going to happen if we keep freaking dancing around it. I want to join that program. How do I register the Queen of Money? Yes, gorgeous. It is a 3-day experience, and I'll throw the link in the chat for you. I am like over the moon over this. I'll be honest with you guys. I walked into the class on Zoom on the provider class and I told the girls I'm having a freaking container issue. Like just like the number of signups. Like I was like, yesterday was like 11:30 and I'm like, Irfan, what about Zoom? Can we even hold these many people on Zoom? And he was like, don't worry, relax. Like we'll upgrade the account. Like we will figure it out. And so this is the power of really, really, really telling the truth about the things that we're blocked, about the things that we're afraid, about the shame that women hold on money. And I actually want to, girl, I made a video on the angel number 444. Of course you did. Of course you did. The link is in the description box. It's a cover charge of $44. We start this Friday. On June 4th, the price will go up to $444. Let me just tell you that please do not be turned off by the price. I know a lot of my buyers are turned off by low prices. What I'm putting in here, I promise you, if I was doing a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 mastermind for money, this is what I would put in there. So I'm treating it as if it is like a $10,000, $20,000 mastermind, and I want you to treat it the same way. Because I know how people are. I'm the same way. I am turned off by low prices. So please ignore that. I wanted this to be really this collective energy. And so forget about that, that it's a low price. Trust me, it's thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. The other thing I want to say is that send the link to your mom, send the link to your sister, send the link to your best friend, send the link to your online bestie, send the link to someone that's your accountability partner, join with them. And I don't mean the link to like, don't like, it goes against our terms and conditions when people like share logins and stuff. Like that is a violation of our terms. That's illegal, actually. Don't do that. But like, purchase it twice, purchase it for your friend, let them buy it, join together, because this is a experience that will be like compounded with friendship, with sisterhood. It really will be compounded. And if you don't have one, a bestie to do this with, find one. When you sign up, when you're in the group live with us, find one in there, because your experience of it will 10x, 100x when you do this. Because remember when I've talked about how any trauma, any wounding, the best place to heal it is where it originally occurred. And so a lot of our money trauma occurred in relationships. It occurred with provider men. It occurred with our parents. It occurred with other women. And so when we go back to allowing the masculine provide for us, and by the way, if you need help with that, I have a free activation that I did in the provider course that I have bonused it, and it's completely free. With if you sign up for my container workbook, it's linked in the description box. You get the activation free. Listen to it for 21 days straight so that you can start healing your relationship with money, with the divine masculine. And then if you're in the Queens of Money, allow this to be a really upgrading our money consciousness experience in the realm with other people. Because as long as there's shame, there's hiding. There's like, oh my God, I can't talk to this about other people. Oh my God, like money is the one thing I can't talk to other people about, right? The fact that I show up here publicly on the internet talking about money, 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 this is a collective healing. I want you to have money, hold money, attract money, manifest it, make it when you're sleeping, make it with ease, make it with pleasure, have it in your purse. I want you to be walking and money's falling out of your purse. I want you to have so much money that you forget how much money you have. I want you to have so much money that you don't even know how to count that much money. I want you to have so much money that you don't even know how many zeros go into that much money. That is a collective healing for the divine feminine. We can't spiritually bypass ourselves over the things that we never had rights to before. That's spiritual bypassing. That's not healing. That's not us being, oh, money is for peasants. I'm so spiritual. I'm going to say abundance. Okay, money comes before abundance. Money comes before abundance. Money needs to be included in your abundance. Otherwise, we're just throwing out big fancy words that mean nothing. I would love to have you, Cosmic Mom. I would love to have you. You're so welcome, lady. So the $44 course is going to take us to the next level, but it's affordable for us all. Yes. And here's the thing. I wanted to do it on YouTube. I was going to do this as a 3-day live stream experience, but there's something that happens when you open your wallet and you exchange energy. So I'm giving you the opportunity to exchange $44 for this experience that is freaking life-changing. If you guys were there in the provider course today, you already know what's coming in here. So I want you to lead yourself there. If you know you're meant to be in the room with money, doing deep, actual spiritual work, not spiritual bypassing, then you will lead yourself there. Yes, Ruby, excited. Hi, Kristen, happy to have you. Hey, I just bought your new money queen. Can't wait to see you live on Friday. See you live. See you live. It's going to be on Zoom. And all the recordings will be put in the portal for you. There's going to be live activations. My team will take them and add music and put them in there that you'll have. If you don't know what an activation is, You can experience one for free by joining the container workbook, where I have the dark feminine masterclass for free for you guys. I have a lot of things in that portal. That's like my gifting portal. I should change the name from container workbook to Mina's gifts, so you can go experience what an activation feels like. I did one today in provider course, but the one we did last week, I gifted it to you in the container portal. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm in. Amazing. Mina, how is it so I don't have a problem pricing myself, but always attract people who don't want to play? So these are exactly the dynamics that we will look at, Arena, because I'll have chance to like actually work with you. What I'll give you today in the medium that we have here is I would look at if you have any sort of savior complex, or if you tend to have this belief system that you are powerful and you can do it, but other people are not capable. When we show up and in the energy of wanting to save people, wanting to carry people, not seeing people in their power, then that is what we are an energetic match to, and that is what we will attract. So we want to make sure that we are cleaning up the energy. I see this a lot. Actually, we were just talking about this in the provider course. This came up in one of the hot seat coaching sessions that I did, is this feeling of, well, I'm responsible. I am the one, but not extending that grace to other people. Just like we are capable and we are the one, everyone is the one, and everyone is capable in their own movie of life. So much great information. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Maria. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. I definitely have fears on desiring money when I'm provided for. Yes, a lot of that came up today in the provider course. Some men think it means you're focused on the wrong thing. So this is something men are projecting out from inside of you. So if that's the projection, what's inside of you that's projecting that out? That's exactly the work we were doing in there. And once you can get to a place where you're excited about the projection because you know that something inside of you needs a quick tweak, that's when you know you're in that $1 million babe high-end divinity. When I see a projection outside of me, I'm like, I'm projecting this out. This is a mirror. What's happening inside of me? What do I get to transform? What do I get to transmute? Without blame, without shame. What do I get to play with in my internal wiring that changes that? That alchemizes that transmutes that. Mina, ever since I signed up, things have been happening. Rupi, I am like flooded with DMs right now with messages like this. I'm so happy for you. You have stepped into the portal. That's why this is going viral. Because people are signing up, magic is unfolding. I'm getting DMs after DM. This happened, I manifested this, I signed up, and then this thing happened. That's the vortex of it. That's the magic of the collective healing. Notice that all of my courses that have gone viral on like extreme levels, what I consider viral is that like there's like, an energetic match of like what's my usual. And then if this is my usual and this is how something new is doing, it's like, whoa, what just happened here? Because if this is my usual, then typically I'll get this, or I'll get this, or I'll get this, right? Like this is the range. This is the ceiling, this is the floor. But when you do this, and this is the ceiling and this is the floor, and you end up here, it's like, I just tapped into the collective vortex. This was needed. This was needed. Alma said, oh my God, I signed up and feel so excited. We called this in. Go and read the comments on yesterday's video on the $1 Million Babes, titled the same thing. I titled it Undercharging and Underearning is a Collective Female Trauma Response. And people were asking for this. They were feeling it. It was coming up. There was anxiety around, oh, money. Like, what's happening? Why am I like weird with money? Why do I keep jumping to abundance and prosperity? And then someone just said it. It's like everyone was feeling it. And I'm like, hey, babes, why can't we say money? Why is money a bad word suddenly? I called surprise money in today by just reading the email preview this morning. Gridded by the divine. Gridded by the divine. It's all gridded. I'm so excited, Charlie. I'm so happy. Thank you so much, Mina. I felt this so deep when you said money is our healing portal. Definitely me right now. Babe, yes. Yes. And let's talk about this because I think needs to be said. When a woman decides to own money, like own the term money, say money, a lot of stuff will start coming up. So let me give you examples of some of the things I've heard from my clients. If I have money, then I'll have to help all of my family. If I have money, then I'll have to move in my parents and my siblings with me, and they will take advantage of me. If I have money, then I'll have to work more hours and I'm going to get burnt out because I'm already so burnt out working these hours for this little amount of money. And you're telling me I need more money and that's going to be more burnt out? No, thank you. I'm already burnt out. So when all of these stories are coming up, that more money equals more problems, that more money equals loss of boundaries, that more money equals more work and more burnout and less pleasure and less family time, money becomes dangerous. Money becomes this thing that's like the boogeyman. But those are just beliefs, they are just stories. The truth is that as I had all of those, by the way, all of them. But the truth is that instead of saying, okay, never mind, money means that I'm not going to be able to say no, people are going to take advantage of me, more clients, more burnout, blah, 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 blah. Let me just not ask for more money. It's like, well, what is the root cause of these stories? Like, is it money? Well, if your family takes advantage of you without money and you think they'll take more advantage of you with money, why not just set boundaries? And then you realize it was never money. It was just you not trusting yourself. And here's the thing, after you can heal the whole boundary aspect, you realize that actually, if you had so much money that you didn't even know how many zeros, you could actually help them without going into burnout. So a client I was working with, she had this thing that she's always had to help her siblings at her own expense. And so she was sabotaging her business and we started working and she thought it was because she had the wrong audience and like her messaging was off, da 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 da. These are all 101 stories that this woman would tell you why she wasn't manifesting the money. We start doing the inner work, we start coaching, and what comes up is whatever she's had, whatever she's accumulated, whether it was like $2 in her childhood or like a candy that she saved but her siblings ate it really quickly. She would be forced by her parents to just give it to her siblings, even if she didn't want to. So when she became a powerful adult, leading a powerful company, that little girl would show up and say, if you have more, your parents are going to force you to give it to your siblings. So the first layer of us was to make contact with that inner child and heal that little girl that was frozen in time when her parents would literally rip the thing away from her hands and give it to her siblings. We had to work, that was phase one. Phase two was actually setting boundaries with her grown adult siblings that were still playing into that. She was, as much as she was afraid of having things ripped away from her and giving it to them, she was still doing it in like 100 different places. So that was phase two. In phase three of the healing, in the coaching, she was able to unlock so much money that she was like, I can give it to them now. I'm like, yes, from the generosity and healed version of you, you can gift them things, but not from the place of wounding, not from the place of victimhood, not from the place of, I'm not allowed to say no. And so during this process, she actually became more generous, but from a healed place, not from the place of like feeling like someone came and snatched something out of you and gave it to your siblings. Those are two very different frequencies. So if your fear is that having money will force you to be generous, first stop being generous. First, let's heal this. Let's work through this. And then you'll realize that at the end of the day, people that are whole and complete within themselves are already generous. They just are. I'll tell you my own story. So in my childhood, I watched both my parents have this generational wounding where they give to other people when they were alive. They're both gone now. They would give at their own expense and at the expense of their children. So when I was growing up, my parents were so generous. They would literally bring homeless people home inside our little studio apartment. We wouldn't have food to feed all of us, and they'd bring like people from their countries that didn't have a place to live around in the house out of generosity. This came from a good place. While they were at work, I was literally being, I won't say the word, but molested in my own house because of my parents' generosity. So even though I have the DNA of these two beautiful people that were so generous, I wanted to be generous, but I also grew up fearing generosity. So there was this really weird, twisted energy in me of like, I would overgive, and then people would take advantage of me. And then I would have to go into, you're dead to me. I don't want anything to do with you. And I would run from the situation. So I would give, feel taken advantage of, can't get myself out of the situation, and I would run. And I kept doing this in friendships. I did this in jobs, and the pattern kept playing out until I became aware of it. And then I had to pause and I had to say, oh my God, I am such a generous person, and that's so beautiful. And I cannot afford to be generous in the way that my parents were generous because that's harmful. That's toxic. Someone said overgiving is a trauma. Yep. Overgiving at your expense is a trauma. Generosity is our natural way of being. So at first, what I had to do is I had to learn to say no. And it broke my heart. Oh my God. My parents would run out of money to send back home to their family. And they would, at this time, I was like 16, 17, 18, making $6.25 an hour in a retail job. And my parents would like, when they would run out of money, they would ask me for money and send it back home. And I would just give it. I wouldn't even think anything about it. And I had to learn to say no. And it was the hardest thing. I remember even my mom had made some really like hitting below the belt, like ripping my heart out comments about not giving her the money so she can send it. But I had to learn to stand my ground because that giving in that way didn't feel good. I was being taken advantage of by family members, and I kept giving and giving and giving. And so the first phase of my own healing was to say no, even though I didn't want to. I didn't want to say no. I was groomed to just want to give it, but it was coming not from overflow. It was coming from performing. It was coming from guilt. It was coming from shame. It was coming from not enoughness. It wasn't coming from a healthy place. And then when I pulled back and started saying no, magical things happened. The first magical thing that happened is those people started stop seeing me as a bank. I started feeling really in my power. And when I came in my power, I realized that actually I love being generous. I want to be generous, but never at my expense. I want to be generous from overflow. My generosity should never hurt me. It should never hurt my husband. It should never hurt my children. It should not hurt anyone. Generosity is a beautiful thing. And so when I started healing this work, right, doing this work, money, this is a big part of money. So then when I would make more than what my parents were making, I had to do more inner work. It's like, oh my God, now I just want to save everyone. I want to just send everyone the money. It's like, no, hold the money, have the money, let the money compound. And then, yes, you do get to give. Of course, giving is so beautiful, but not from this date, not from guilt, not from, I'm the one, I have to save everyone. Not from this place, from truly a place of generosity, that giving to you actually gives me something too. It's this beautiful divine loop. It's not like I give you something and now I'm hurt, or I'm give you something and now I'm okay. I'm give you something and now I'm not guilty. And what I also learned is generosity is not always tied to money. And another important lesson for me is that I love giving to receivers, not to takers. I wouldn't have learned that if I hadn't stopped giving for a while and seen how uncomfortable I feel when I just don't jump in to save people. And I had this huge realization that there is a big difference between receivers and takers. Takers are a bottomless pit. Takers do not know how to receive. For takers, it's never enough. You're never enough. They're never enough. Whatever you're giving them is never enough. For receivers, it's a divine blessing. Your presence, they can receive. Your no, they can receive. Receivers want whatever you're giving to feel good to you as well. Takers do not care. They don't care if it feels good to you or not. Let's see what you're saying. When Mina says, and, oh, Ruby, I love you. I have to stop giving so much to my own kids. I have been making them help more and they are happier. Setting boundaries helps others to be healthier too. Yes. And then on the other end of it, you end up giving more anyways, but it's coming from a healthy place, not toxic, but a healthy place. Super common for a lot of immigrants. There is a culture of sending money back home. Usually it's not even appreciated. Oh my God, no, never. I remember my mom, like, because I saw from my end, right? Like, I saw my mom in her entire life never slept more than 2 hours. She worked through all of her pregnancies. She lost the baby at like 8 months. I think the baby, yeah, like she had many miscarriages because she was like nursing and picking people up and all this stuff. And when we would go visit back home, they would say, oh, she never did anything for us. She's literally killing herself to send you money, but they never saw it. There was another lesson I learned from this. When when I was still in that process of being kind of manipulated by my parents to like keep sending them money, I did set this one rule that was life-changing because I had seen this with my mom. I said, I'm not going to send you random amounts of money for random things. Tell me one thing that's really going to change your entire legacy, and I'll send you money for that. So, for example, one of our relatives, she was having a lot of financial problems. She had 3 kids. Her husband was disabled. And my mom was always sending money. Other people were always sending money. It was never enough. And I must have been like 18, 19, 20 at this time. And I was in corporate. And so I talked to her. I said, well, tell me everything. And she said that, okay, my husband made this much and now he's disabled and now he makes this much and I own this much to here and I have this, this is, oh. I said, okay, what is like the one problem that if that went away, everything else would be better for you? Like, what's the one thing that would like resolve or take the load off everything else? And she said, if I had a place to live that was my own, then everything else will be easier. I said, okay, got it. So I started saving up money and I sent her first enough money to be able to buy a plot of land. She bought that. And then I saved up some more money and I sent her that money to be able to pay to construct a property on that. And this is now 20 some years later. They still live in that house. To me, that is actual giving versus just feeding someone's hungry ghost. And like, they're not going to amount to anything from that. And they're still going to think you didn't give them enough. So all of that happened as part of my money inner work. Instead of saying, oh no, my mom's going to take all my money and send it back home. Let me not manifest money now. That's not the solution. There's other options available to you. Cutting off your life force from the divine, from God, from money is never the solution. Let me tell you that. That's not the solution to your problems. That doesn't help any of us. It keeps us trapped. It keeps us trapped in the same disempowered stories that we've always had. No feeding hungry ghosts, because they're never going to be fed anyways. Unless you if you want to help someone, become rich, become wealthy with actual real money, not just abundance, with actual real money. And then you'll start recognizing the paradigms that they're stuck in. And then if you want to help solve the actual problem. So for example, if someone had an issue getting water permanently and you keep sending them water bottles, that's just the hungry ghost. They're still going to need the water tomorrow. It's not really solving the root cause. The root cause requires you to be rich. It requires money. The root cause is maybe they need like a water well. They need like a permanent solution. That requires money. That requires for you to actually charge for your services, to actually not under earn. That's real charge. That's real charity. Not like, oh, I'm money is for peasants. I'm over here in my abundance, but like I'm helping no one. I'm helping no one. A hungry ghost can't actually eat. I was talking about this topic today with my sister. Of course, I'm telling you, it's a projector thing. It is in the collective. It is in the collective. I feel the same with helping others from overflow and as a gift, not because they come before me and I need to, or I am a bad person as in my childhood. Yep, the you cutting off from your divine right to actually have money and then create wealth, actual wealth with real money, not just using these words as spiritual bypass. That's your birthright. It helps no one for you to be poor. It helps no one for you to be undercharging. It helps no one to be like, everyone else is a peasant, no one can pay me, so then I'm not gonna charge them. Allow people to manifest the money. Allow people to be in their power. I can't tell you how many thousands of women in my community say that they binge watched, consumed, used all my free content for years and years and years until they actually made the decision that they get to have the money to buy the courses, and then they manifested the courses. We always have that power inside of us, but we're telling disempowering stories that keeps us stuck. Let's make money, Mina. I can't wait to start. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for Friday. The schedule is on the sales page, by the way. It's going to be 11:11 Central Time. We're going to go 3 days in there, maybe some bonuses. I won't say it yet. I'm feeling super, super, super overflow and generous. And it's 11:11 Central Time. The recordings will always be in the portal along with your homework, your activations, all the things. Money is your birthright. Yes, ma'am. What stories are you willing to leave behind? What new paradigms are you willing to activate? I've had to learn to be more selfish. You can't give from an empty cup. So important to my healing. Beautiful. When we're in that state of like, first we go inward, fix the wiring in there, and then the hologram that we project is different. So for me, even though I was a generous person, I wanted to be generous, I realized the way I was being trained to be generous was not good. That's not how I wanted to be generous because I wasn't actually helping people. Sending people money doesn't help them. It doesn't solve the root cause. Then I retreated inside and I had to hold the pose while people were telling me things like, you're so selfish. Why can't you just give them the money? I had to hold that. I had to hold it. I had to hold it. I had to rewire. I had to tweak some things, move some things, hold some things. And then the hologram started changing. And then I was allowed to fully, from a healed space, come out and say, okay, now how can I actually serve you? Like, what's the real problem here? Like when I had the discussion with that family member saying, okay, you always need money from everyone. Like, tell me more. What's happening? Tell me what's happening in your world. What's going on? And then when I understood, oh, okay, her husband used to have money. Now he's disabled. He can't bring in the money. She's in debt with her landlord. She's robbing Peter to pay this person and asking, like, I see. So if you had a place of your own to stay, most of these problems would go away. I see what you're saying. Okay, let's fix that instead of us just feeding the hungry ghost and there's never enough. So the root cause is typically something different than you just cutting yourself away from the life force of the universe, which in this 3D planet is money. This is how we exchange value with people. This is what we have all collectively got together and decided that money is going to represent the value that we exchange, because goats were just heavier to lug around, and so were cows. We did the whole gold coins thing for a while, but now we just made it easier. And then we had paper money, and then paper money got cumbersome, and now we have these digits that we just transfer from our phone to each other. But that is what we're using to exchange value. And so we can't be participating in the 3D economy and afraid of the thing that we have all collectively decided is the thing we're going to use to exchange value. That doesn't make any sense. That would be like saying, yes, I know we've all incarnated into 3D and we've agreed that this is human food, but I refuse to eat that. I'm just going to not do that. Well, then you're not participating. It's not participating in the economy of the world, in the game. So what are the stories that you are saying and making money the scapegoat when there is another root cause there somewhere? And so I would love to have you for these 3 days in Queens of Money. We start on Friday live. Everything will be recorded. You'll have access later if you can't make it live. I know there's time zones. I know all the things, work, responsibilities, but I would love to have you in there. I love you so much. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you this Friday. Bye, everyone.